Xin chào mừng quý vị và các bạn, chúng ta đã cùng đến với chương trình Việt Nam trong tim tôi. Ngày hôm nay thì Nguyễn Khang muốn giới thiệu đến quý vị một người phụ nữ đến từ Hồng Kông. Cô ấy đã có 17 năm gắn bó với Việt Nam và giới thiệu đến bản đồ thế giới những sản phẩm thời trang nhưng mang đậm nét văn hóa của Việt. Đó chính là những túi xách cũng như là những phụ kiện thời trang. Cô Christina Yu. Hello, how are you today?
I'm good. How are you today?
I'm fine. I'm ready to have a long talk with you today. How many shops that you have in Vietnam?
I have 4 in total, 2 in Ho Chi Minh City and 2 in Hanoi. Would you like to see one of my shop in Ho Chi Minh?
Oh, Ipanema here.
Yes,
Okay,
it's
can
here.
I take a look?
Yeah, sure. Welcome. Please come in.
I just wonder that what do you think about all of the ladies who use the bags that you design?
I think they're very well-traveled ladies, and I think they're quite confident ladies because if you look at my bags, there are many different colors. They're quite strong colors as well. So I think that it takes quite a confident woman to wear our bags. They actually is looking for something which is very alternative, different, unique, compared to, you know, the accessories that they can buy at home. And that's why they come to Ipanema and buy our bags. Plus, you know, it's very difficult now to buy a bag with embellishment which is handmade and high quality. So that is also an attraction. You know, they appreciate the aesthetics, they appreciate the techniques, and also the quality that we use.
Do you feel any difficulty when you change from a lawyer into designing a bags?
Yes, of course, because I never actually had that training before. And actually all my training comes through experience. You live and learn, as they say. So I think that's how I grow my business and I work my business, you know. I think a lot of the Vietnamese producers that I work with also taught me a lot as well, because they actually has been doing embroidery or beading many times. They understand certain difficulties. So for example, when I first tried to ask them to do embroidery on leather, they told me, oh, it's not possible, it's not possible. And I said, why not? Because I have very, very soft leather, like fabrics. And they said, yes, that's the problem. Your leather is too soft. So when I do embroidery, it's going to rip. And I was like, oh, yes, you're right. So this is my inventory room, and I import a lot of my materials overseas for anything that I cannot source. So when you go through, I have all these ribbon. I have very special kind of ribbon, as you can see, which is double tone that I have to import. This is all my trimmings and ribbons, hardware, old ring, hooks. So this is all the leather stock we have. You know, some of them you see, we import all our leather from Italy and also from Turkey. A small amount also comes from Korea as well.
But you have any material that you
Sourced locally?
from Vietnam?
Yes, you are moving towards the Vietnam part. Anything that we can source from Vietnam, we source from Vietnam. And for example, this kind of interfacing. For my bags, I normally buy them from Vietnam. And if you can see all the materials there, the satin, the cotton, the silk, the velvet, if I can buy from Vietnam, I will buy from Vietnam as well.
Is there any material, Vietnamese material, that make your bag outstanding?
I think we use quite a lot of Vietnamese silk, and I have always used quite a lot of Vietnamese silk in my collection. And sometimes we also use buffalo horn, and we also now started to experiment doing some hardware in Vietnam as well, provided that it doesn't have a screw or a spring that can do it. But I think what makes my product special, made in Vietnam, is actually the workmanship and the craftsmanship that I used here, because I do a lot of bags with a lot of labor and intensive embellishment. And this is all done by Vietnamese people. So this is where it all started.
Oh, this is more silent than the factory.
Yes, I know.
Because we will have to concentrate.
Yes. This is my design room. This is my design team. So I normally give design directions to my designers, and then they will start doing the drawings on the computer or by hand. And sometimes with embellishment that it is very difficult to do, or they cannot explain to the embroidery workers how to do, they will then try to make the first sample first, or a small swatch first, before they show to the embroidery people.
But how many designers in your team?
Two.
Two people.
Yes.
Okay. So, is there any difference between the Vietnamese designers and the foreign designers when you work in a company?
I think that it is quite difficult to compare, because I think both Vietnamese designers and French or foreign designers have a very individual style, you know. And I'm still experimenting working with Vietnamese designers, because I used to work with foreign designers as a main designer. And I think since last year I started working with Vietnamese designers as a main designer. I actually think they're very talented people, you know, and they actually have very good ideas as well. They need some guidance. They need to have some more overseas exposures, but in general, I think they shows a lot of potential.
Is there any Vietnamese elements in Ipanema?
Well, I think there are many Vietnamese elements in Ipanema. Number one, you know, the whole design process is done in Vietnam. And number two, we source our products in Vietnam. Number three, we actually have Vietnamese designers, and we actually produce by Vietnamese workers and produced by Vietnamese, you know, villagers in the countryside for all the labor-intensive stuff. We have our shops here. I can see, you know, a substantial part you know, of my operation is Vietnamese. So I almost have 100% made in Vietnam product.
So how about the materials and also the spirit of Vietnam inside of designing the bag?
In terms of the spirit, I think it depends from collection to collection. And I think there's definitely, I live here, you know, and also my designers are also Vietnamese. And I think that they absorb, you know, different influences they see in Vietnam every day. And that actually comes back, you know, in terms of their design process. Personally, I also love sourcing, you know, in Vietnam, because I like to go out to the market and I want to see what's new, what is available, or even try to work with Vietnamese producers to make new items for me.
If you had set up Ipanema in some other countries like India or Malaysia, do you think that Ipanema will have different styles or different characteristics as you have done in Vietnam?
I don't know, because I set up Ipanema because what I see, what Vietnam can produce is suitable for my brand. Now, for example, if I go to Malaysia, I may not be able to find people who do very beautiful embroidery. So maybe, you know, I'm not going to do the same accessories as it is today. So it really depends on what that country offer me, plus what I like, and combine them together.
Do you think that Ipanema plays a part of important role in the Vietnam fashion?
Yes, I do think so, because number one, I think that we are one of the very, very first company that only specialize in accessories and handbags. When I first started, there is no other company doing the same. And now, of course, you can see that a lot of the handicraft shops is selling handbags. And I understand that, you know, Vietnam export billions of dollars of handbags, you know, to other countries in 2011. So I do think that the success of our company contributed to the fact that Vietnam is exporting the handbags as well, because people have heard that Vietnam can do bags very well, so they probably come to Vietnam and specifically source handbag suppliers or handbag factories.
Wow. What do you think about Vietnam fashion industry especially the fashion accessory in relations with world fashion industry?
Well, I think I'm biased. Of course, I'm going to tell you, I think Ipanema is the best in relation to the local fashion scene in terms of fashion accessories. But I think fashion accessories is a very specific area. As I can see, you know, most of the Vietnamese designers, when they actually graduated, they will much prefer to do clothes as opposed to bags. Maybe it's because there is a bigger investment cost in bags, because clothes you may be buying the fabrics and the button and the zipper, but in bags you have to buy the fabric, the lining, the hardware, maybe leather as well. So the investment cost is a lot higher for a new fashion designer. But I can see that there has been some local brands sprouting out, which also selling accessories, but mainly in leather, also handmade, and also doing jewelry as well. So I think it's still a very developing industry, so to speak, in compared to world fashion.
Have you ever joined the Vietnam Fashion Week?
No, not yet. No one has invited me.
But if you receive any invitations, do you
Yes.
want to join?
Of course,
Yeah.
yes. I think a lot of people, when they organize Vietnam Fashion Week, they are thinking more in terms of clothes, whether it is evening wear, day wear, or resort wear.
Yeah.
Very few people actually think of accessories.
Yeah.
Maybe it's also partly because it is quite difficult to do a fashion show with bags, because most people will concentrate looking at more the clothes. So maybe that's why they haven't invited me yet.
No, I think that haven't invited, it doesn't mean that they won't invite. So maybe sooner or later, they will. I will miss you in the Vietnam Fashion Week soon.
Yes, I hope so.
Yeah.
But I think now, you know, Vietnamese young people who buy fashion, they like to buy a foreign brand if they have the money, and not necessarily from a local brand. You know, I think they haven't actually reached the level of appreciating products from their own country
all.
yet.
Especially like me, I also buy your products.
Yes,
Yeah.
but you are different and unique.
Thank you very much. Yeah. It's very interesting that to hear how you bring the Vietnamese material, Vietnamese spirit into the designing bags, and also the story that you stay in here 70 years here, or very long
Not
time.
70, 17.
17, yeah, of course, 17.
No,
17
not
years
old
in
yet.
Vietnam. Before we end the program today, do you want to say anything to the audience? Because I know that you learn Vietnamese in Hanoi, right?
Yes, of course.
So it's the time for you to show your skill.
Well, I've been here for so long now, so I guess I have to say Vietnam trong tim tôi.
Việt Nam trong tim thôi. Thank you very much for sharing your story.
Thank you, Kang.
Thưa quý vị, để tiếp tục theo dõi câu chuyện tiếp theo của cô Christina Yu như thế nào nữa, quý vị hãy đón xem chương trình Việt Nam trong tim tôi nhé. Còn bây giờ, Nguyên Khang cùng với cô Christina xin chào và hẹn gặp lại.